Hey friend, how you doing? You good? I'm good too. It's your girl Dominique Lakes. And recently I received this comment on the video that I posted about doing knotless braids over locks. Now, instead of answering in the comment section, I'm just going to do a little tutorial for you to answer my friend's questions on how I achieved the braids over the locks. So, let's get right into the video. The Cuban twist hair comes pre-sectioned and fold it in half. Okay, so it's one long strand. Because it's folded in half, you already have two legs. So I'm going to be showing you 3 ways to do knotless braids. Knotless braids are feed-in braids, which means you add hair as you go. And I braid overhand, so I'm going to be showing you how I do it overhand. You're going to take the top section, move it to the bottom of your plait. Your right section comes to the middle, and the middle section goes to the top. You repeat this process to the next stitch, but instead of using that right section, you're going to pull the left section. Okay, you only do 2 stitches down before you add your braiding hair. One half goes between your fingers, and the other half of that braiding hair goes to the top. You repeat this stitch cycle until you get to the right section again. And that right section, you're going to add another piece of hair. Complete the stitch cycle one more time, making sure that it's secure. And then you're going to add your last piece of hair, which should be your third piece of braiding hair. And once again, you are going to put one leg of that braiding hair on the top section and the second half between your fingers. And here's where you'll see me flip my hands so that it's more comfortable for me. Some people keep going in the position I was in before. This is still considered overhand braiding because you are placing the hair over your fingers instead of under your fingers. So that's the difference between overhanded and underhanded braiding. And you're just going to keep braiding down as far as you can until the end. And you will proceed however you choose, which will be dipping the hair, curling the hair, crimping the hair, burning the hair, totally up to you. Now the braid is complete. As you can see, the black and white color difference. This works for some people, but for me it's not as neat. So I'm going to show you a process called tucking. And I'm going to show you on natural hair and also locked hair. So you're going to continue the same process as you did with the first braid, separating into your 3 sections. You're going to take the top section, move that to the bottom. Then you take your middle section, push up, grab that right section to pull to the center. Repeat, but instead of grabbing the right section, you're going to grab the left section. And you're going to repeat this stitch process until you come back to the right. And once again, you add your braiding hair after making sure the braid is secure. You're going to take the top leg to the top section and that middle leg to the middle section and repeat your stitch process. But before you move over, make sure you are covering the natural hair with the braiding hair. This is what tucking is, covering your natural hair with braiding hair. So you add the braiding hair to your pinch fingers and on top. And before you complete your next rotation, you want to make sure you are covering your natural hair with the braiding hair. So I've added, and now before I stitch over, I'm going to cover the hair either manually or turning the braid as I go. So if you look closely, I have 3 legs here, 1, 2, and 3. And I have 2 strands in each leg, right? So there's the first 2 strands in that first leg, second 2 strands in the second leg, and then the third leg also has 2 strands. This is going to help cover your hair. So I am sandwiching the natural hair between the braiding hair so it is completely covered or covered as best as possible. In my opinion, sandwiching your natural hair between the braiding hair gives you a cleaner look than simply tucking the braiding hair on top of the natural hair, pushing your natural hair to the bottom. Sandwiching completely covers it. Tucking with the braiding hair on top just pushes your braiding hair to the bottom. And if you ever lift your hair into a ponytail, you will be able to see the natural hair color difference from the braiding hair color difference, and that's not what you want. If your natural hair is not blonde, it is very, very, very difficult to conceal any darker colored hair in blonde hair. That's why I chose this color difference. But as you can see, as I'm braiding down the natural hair, we're tucking it and concealing it pretty easily. And you would just continue down the braid, making sure you tuck every chance that you get until you get to the end, and you can choose your end braid however you want. As you can see, I'm rotating to the top and the bottom of the braid, and we have very minimal black hair peeking out of this blonde braid, and that's exactly what you want in comparison to the first braid that we did. Now we're going to tuck with locks. Now, locks are a little different than with natural hair when it comes to tucking, because natural hair can be flattened and tucked strand by strand. Locks are round and fused together, so you have to wrap the braiding hair around your locks like you would a sleeve almost. So let's see what I'm talking about. You're going to take your braiding hair and you're still going to add it in the same way, one piece to the top leg, another piece to that middle leg. You're going to make sure that it's secure and you have, as close as you can, an even amount of locks in each strand, because you want to have a uniform look and not have one side bulkier than the other side. So we're going to complete this stitch rotation and come back to the right side, and we're going to add our braiding hair again. Once you add this braiding hair, one section, the section between your fingers, should have two pieces, and the section behind your fingers and on top of your fingers should have one piece. And you're still going to tuck as you go so that you can conceal your lock as best as possible. This third section of braiding hair is my last piece of braiding hair, because it will create even amounts of braiding hair in each of the three legs of your braid. So each section should have two pieces of braiding hair to sandwich your locks in between. You feel free to add as much hair as you want. Just know that the more hair that you add, your braid will have more volume, and you need to be able to have an even amount of braiding hair in each leg to significantly cover your lock, because you can't flatten out locks. You can only wrap around them. And I'm going to switch to flipping my hands because that's more comfortable for me. You don't have to. You can continue how you normally would. And I am tucking as I go. Also, once you get to the ends of your locks, like I showed you in my previous video, feel free to add more braiding hair to keep the same consistency down your braid. You will have to cut that hair when you get to the bottom. If you don't want blunt ends, then I would highly suggest you not add more hair, but it's totally up to you. As you can see, I have tucked as much of the black hair into the blonde braiding hair as possible all the way down. So this is possible to achieve this look with locks. Let's compare the three braids. So we have the first braid, which is the traditional knotless braid without tucking. Lots of black hair, not as seamless, not suggested for someone who has darker hair and wants lighter braids. The second braid is tucking your natural hair inside of the braid with the sandwich method. And then we have the third section, which is doing that same method but with locks. The last two methods conceal a lot easier. I hope this answers your question. If it doesn't, drop a comment and I'll clarify.